What's up, everybody? Welcome to BioS 3 Raw TV. Well, it's Sunday night, and I want to talk to you guys about something. Of course, that's why I put the camera on. I always want to talk about something. I never shut the fuck up. But anyways, so let's kind of catch up for the past week. So I haven't put up a video in quite a while. I was actually away. I was at the North American Championships this past week. So today's Sunday. On Tuesday, I was there doing check-ins. Wednesday, I was there judging, and Thursday I was judging. I came home late Thursday night. So I was there until Friday, pretty much, or late Thursday, early Friday. And I got to tell you, the show was amazing. Despite the COVID restrictions that were going on, Gary Udit was just like a mastermind. He nailed it with putting this stuff together. And what we did was, couldn't actually hold the event inside the hotel like we normally do. So we held it outside in a parking lot, like a couple blocks away, in one of those giant tents. And I'm not talking about a tent like you go camping. Like a tent that's like, you know, a tornado could come through and this thing was still there. It's all set up, like the staging was inside there, the lighting. And it really was, you know, especially for what we all just went through, awesome to see this take place. And the competitors were happy. The way that it ran was, you know, the competitors, we'd have two classes come from the hotel. It was a shuttle that brought them over. Two, maybe three classes. One class would come on, they'd come off. The next class would come on, this is pre-judging. They'd come off. The next class would come on, they'd come off. And then the first class would come back on again. We would do awards, and it was done. They were done for the whole, that's it. Their competition's over. Whereas normally it would be maybe a 2-day show where you'd come in and like pre-judging one day, the finals the next. Or there's actually shows where you're pre-judging one day and 2 days later you're coming back for finals, which controlling the tan, controlling your body, you know, it's hard to do. So this was like, everybody was peaking really well. It worked out really well. And the competitors were super happy. The judges were happy. Everybody was happy. It was like, it was probably the most positive situation that I've been in bodybuilding-wise in the last few years, to be totally honest with you. Everybody's spirits were just uplifted. They were happy. They were excited to get there. I think there were 1,600 people on the show before crossovers. I think that's what was on Wednesday. But I don't know after that who had checked in, so there might have been even more. We're talking about a show with crossovers and stuff, like 3,000 or 4,000 people that were competing, and everybody was just ecstatic. Now, that's where this video comes from. So I want to revisit something again that I've talked about in the past, but it seems that, you know, as the sport continues to move on, new people come into the sport, and this stuff kind of gets, I don't know why, I think it's a myth. To me, it's a myth. And that is the teams that we have, right? So as I'm there, you know, in the morning, going to the little cafe, getting my food, oatmeal and hard-boiled eggs. Yeah, I still eat like that. I see these people coming in teams. You know, they have matching jackets, matching robes. You know, they're all together in their little corner, and they're kind of huddled up, like looking at everybody else, like they got some kind of master plan. And you know, it's cool. Don't get me wrong. Everybody wants to feel part of a group. They want to belong. But in the end, when you're on stage, it's you by yourself. So it's a very individual sport. However, everybody around you helps you get there, meaning your family, your friends, your team, all of that. Now, I don't have a problem with teams. I think teams are great. It's great for support. They keep you on track. There are teams full of people at my gym. I watch them train and stuff. I think it's great. The part that I don't want people to get misconstrued about is the fact that they think if they're with a team, and that team has generally good competitors that are winning, that because you join that team, you're going to win. Or because that coach has people that, you know, win fairly regularly, that if you go with that coach, you're automatically going to win. I've seen it time and time and time again. I've had, you know, this past week when people would come up to me and, you know, they'd ask me, oh, you know, what time does this happen? You know, what are you guys looking for judging wise, da da da. And then they would literally, I wouldn't even ask, and they'd say, well, I'm with team so-and-so. And I think they expected me to understand what that meant. Like I was going to be like, oh, so I had no fucking concept, because there's so many teams. Everybody and their brother has a team out there, right? And being part of a team doesn't automatically be like, oh, well, they're part of that team, you know, Team iPhone, right? Oh, well, you're part of Team iPhone? Well, I'll keep a lookout for you. Well, it's not like that. It's really not. You think the judges know. We don't fucking know. Now, there's some judges that know when they see you, they'll remember your face. Or I'm really good with tattoos, because not everybody has the same tattoo. So if I see someone, their tattoos are very specific, and they ask me for feedback, I'm like, I don't really remember. And then I see the picture, and I'm like, oh, yeah, okay, I remember who you are now, yeah. And I'll recall like what happened on the stage. But I think people think that as a judge, we sit there at the table, and we're looking for like, oh, you know, Team iPhone, they should have some people. Oh, there's one. Okay, first place. Like we're sitting there watching for them. Or like we expect that person from that team to be in like great shape and win, but we don't even actually know they're on the team. When you get on stage, you're not wearing your warm-ups. When you get on stage, people don't even realize that you look different backstage than you do on stage. You look different at the hotel than you do on stage. Like all the makeup and stuff before the lights hit, maybe you have your hair up, you put it down on stage. We really don't know. Now, don't get me wrong. Some judges are pretty good with that stuff, and they'll remember. But I think the general consensus is the judges are looking for certain teams because those teams are doing well. And that's not how that works. So, as you know, these teams come in and their competitors compete, there's going to be competitors on that team that are more genetically blessed than others. There are going to be competitors on that team that work harder than others. There are going to be people on that team that really don't work hard at all, but they just want to be on the team because they want to be part of the winning team just to be associated with it. And they kind of ride off the coattails of the other people as well as the coach. Now, as you have these different types, these different dynamics of the team, there are going to be people that are winning. There are going to be people that are placing second. There are going to be people that are placing last. That's how those teams work. However, I think in general, many of the teams, you don't see the people that don't do well. You don't see the people that don't place. Because on social media, you're just seeing the people that are winning, top 5, or maybe they placed 5th in like 3 categories or something. They think that's a great feat. Or, nationally qualified, got 2nd place, but there's only 2 people in the class. Like, there's a lot going on that you don't know that gives you the perception of, if you hire that person, you get on that team, you're going to win. And it doesn't work like that. Like, I cannot stress that enough. Like, look for a coach, look for a team, look for whatever, a trainer, whatever, that understands your needs and can help you get to your goal. If your goal is to win, you don't need a coach that's getting other people to win. You need a coach that's going to get you to win. You need a trainer that's going to get you to win. And you need somebody that's going to be there for you, not necessarily, you got this giant team. How much attention can they really give you if they have this giant team, right? If you got 13 people, and sometimes I've seen coaches with 4 people in one class, they're all competing against each other. How the hell do you think that they're going to be able to give the equal attention, and wherever it falls, it falls? That's not what happens. When I used to have teams, which I did have teams, and I wouldn't even consider them teams, they were just, I had 4 or 5 competitors, 6 competitors, maybe 10 competitors in a show before, and we'd all go together, but I still never called it a team. Like, we didn't do that. But if I had 2 people in that class together, I couldn't coach them. So what I would do is be like, people like, I want to do this show. I'm like, okay, I have 3 people in that show. What class are you doing? This class. I already have 1 guy in that class. I'm sorry. It wouldn't be fair to you. It wouldn't be fair to him. I apologize. And that's how I would situate it to make sure I gave that person in that class the attention. And you're not trying to divide it between 1 or more people, or 2 or more people rather, to where you really can't do it. You can't do your job, and you're not giving that person their just due by giving them the attention that they need to actually do better or win or whatever the case may be. So be aware, guys, just because there's a winning team or, there's a winning Instagram page or a winning coach or whatever the case may be, it doesn't mean that you're going to win. I do remember this individual, and she was really adamant about, like, I'm going to join this team because I heard that this trainer, if you train with him and you're on his team, you will win. Like, she told me that right to my face, and I was like, wow, really? I was like, that's interesting. We're going to see what happens. So she did go with this coach, with this trainer. Never won a show. Doesn't compete anymore. It was heartbreaking for her to go through it. It was shocking for her to go through it. I just kind of sat back and let it unfold as it went because I was like, whatever happens, happens. Like, I don't have a horse in the race, so I'm interested to see if this is true. There's posing coaches that people go, if I pose with him or her, I'm definitely going to win because all their people win. Well, it's because all the top people go to them because the person knows how to pose. It doesn't mean that if you pose like that person and look nothing like them, you're going to win. Like, there's a certain way to look. It's not necessarily just the posing that gets you to win. So there are people paying $100, $200, $300 a session to go work with these posing coaches who may have an Olympian, who may have somebody that looks good, whatever the case, however they market and they present their stuff. But that doesn't mean you, if you pose just like them, that should be good enough to even win a local show. Like, people don't get it. They think that, I just have to find the right person and they'll put me in the spot. They don't realize what comes with this sport. What comes with this sport is usually a lot of disappointment, but a lot of work, a lot of willpower, a lot of discipline. All of that comes with it, including the fact of being able to work with someone one-on-one to get to where you need to be. It's not an easy thing. There are coaches out there that have tons of people online, and I've been one of those people in the past where I had over 112 clients at one point, and it was all within like this time frame. And I would let people know, like, here's the deal, like, we're doing check-ins like this, I'm doing my best with this, but remember, you paid me this much for this, and you're getting that much worth. It's not necessarily a one-on-one thing 24 hours a day. Like, those coaches get paid $2,000, $3,000 a month because they're spending time with those. The fees that I'm charging is so I can help a lot of people at once, and we're going to do our best. But it is not the amount of attention that you would get with one of these other trainers. Like, always be upfront about it so the person knows. And sometimes you lose business. Some people understand completely, and that's their prerogative to do what they want. But the bottom line is, you have to look at this from a perspective of, this is a very individual sport. Physiques vary so much. Genetics, work, diets, supplements, everything in between, right? Time, age, all of it comes into play. And everybody has their time. Everybody has their day. And it's not every time and it's not every day you go to compete. So there's a lot more you know, upset feelings going on, and a lot more failures and a lot more anxiety and a lot more of the negative things that come with this sport than the positive. But those things drive you forward to be better and to get into that spot. And I'll tell you, there's nothing like that feeling when you get to where you want it to be and accomplish your goal. Like, there's nothing that can take that feeling away. There's no drug that can give you that feeling. There's no alcohol that can give you the feeling. And nothing can take away that accomplishment of attaining your goal or the feeling of doing it. It's just, I think people are trying to fast track it to the top by getting the right person, and that's not how that works. So be aware, guys, if you're thinking about competing, this is your journey. Okay, and it's gonna be different than everybody else's journey. Hiring a coach is not gonna automatically put you on the path to success. You could go through 3, 4, 5 coaches before you actually have someone who you can work with that can get you where you need to be, that understands how to work with you. Just don't get discouraged and think that, you know, well, at this point, like, you know, I'm not as good as everybody else. They're all winning and I suck. You know, I shouldn't even be with this team because I suck. Just be aware that, you know, that's just where you're at now. You might be smoking everybody in the future. It just depends. Like, there's so much that goes into this stuff that I think people try to dumb it down, like they dumb down diets. If you tell them to count macros, they go, it's only about calories. You know, if you tell them that hormones are controlled by the macros, it's only about calories. They try to dumb it down to the basic, you know, principles that they can, because it's not an easy thing. The sport's not easy, and it takes a lot of time and a lot of failures to get to where you need to be. But it's not something that you can just pick the right team and get in there. And if you do pick the team and you don't get in there, it's not your fault. It's not the team's fault. It's just not where you're at yet. But hang in there, because you will be at some point. BicycleTraining@gmail.com. Leave comments down below, but don't fight pushing. Document the blog. It's the You'll Be There Someday bicep. And we are out.